Big Drive Energy Winner's Circle Monday. We've got quite the week coming up in golf and just finished quite the weekend in golf as well. Scotty Scheffler wins at the Memorial. We've got Carlos Ortiz winning Live Golf Houston, their little primer for the upcoming U.S. Open. And then we've got a first-time winner, Linnea Strom, on the LPGA Tour. Shot an impressive final round. She made the cut on the number and then ended up winning the tournament. So got some stuff to talk about today, too. And then we've got a special interview for you guys. Mark Hubbard, PGA Tour veteran, cut machine, made all 16 cuts on the PGA Tour this year. And if you were paying attention to last Monday, a week ago today, in the U.S. Open qualifying, he was the medalist at the U.S. Open qualifying up in Canada after he played the RBC, shot a crisp 15 under. So we're going to talk to him about qualifying for the U.S. Open, how it changed all his plans, life on the PGA Tour, his hall pass in the team event, and much, much more. So make sure you stick around for that interview. All right, let's tee it up. What's up, brother? I hit someone on the way in here today, so it's been a great Monday so far. Same road, now 2 different accidents for me in the span of a month. So what a treat. Mulligan of the week right out of the gate. Just fucking, I was going approximately half a mile per hour and there's no damage. So it was more just like scary, but then I'm late and it's just a big CF, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. I was talking to you on the phone like 15 minutes ago and then Marissa is like, Spencer got into an accident. I'm like, well, it must have been in the last 15 minutes. Cause that was pretty recent, but not a great way to start out your week. Not a great way, like Sebastian Soderberg on the DP World Tour. I want to touch on this real quick. He was 21 under through 3 days and had an 8-shot lead going into Sunday and lost. He lost the tournament.
He shot the putt he missed to lose it. God or whoever you believe in did not want him to win that event.
He shot 77 on Sunday. And the cool thing was, it's called the Scandinavian Mix. They do this on the DP World Tour every year. It's women and men in the same field. So he got beat by a girl. He got beat by Lynn Grant. She went and shot 7 under on Sunday, and he shot 5 over. So she effectively came back from 12 shots back. She started at 10 under on the day. He started at 11 shots back. He started at 21 under. She started at 10 under. And she won the event. So, and Soderberg, everybody's gone through it, but he got the yips. Like that last putt he missed, that right hand was hitting hard. It was flicking the bottom of the putter face, and you could just tell he did not feel comfortable. So, heart goes out to that guy because everybody's been there at one point or another, but it is not a fun place to be. So, second place probably couldn't have felt worse for him.
Yeah, he had the full Riggsy.
He went full rigs, full cross-eyed putter movement, just jabbing at it. It was painful.
Head starting back here somewhere.
Yeah.
He's trying to hit a putter.
Yeah. Tilted head, take the putter way inside, stab at it, miss it left.
Our boy James Orlando, Scotty to take the Open too. We will talk about the U.S. Open on Wednesday, but I'm going to go out. Yeah, we got full preview. Mitchell weather report. He's already prepping it. He's already been looking at the forecast, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say no, because the Masters is a spot. I might sound like an idiot. I'm
going to go out on a limb and say that one guy out of a, over 100-person field is not going to win that event.
Well, no, he's clearly the best player, but I mean,
no, I'm just saying it's not shocking to not pick one dude, like even as good as he is right now.
Yeah. You don't think so? Like, I think most people, if it's Scotty or the field in a major championship or any big event, I mean, the guy's he's either been arrested or had a kid 7 in the last 12 weeks he's been on tour. So yeah, I mean, the guy's on an all-time run, and he will become the 3rd player ever, if he wins the U.S. Open, to win 6 times in a year, along with 2 majors. So Tiger did it multiple times. And then, oh God, I saw the name. It was back in 1994, but it's been done only twice, only by 2 players before, if he wins 2 majors. He is kind of debunking the myth that we talked about a little earlier, and the fact that he hasn't won like after May. So now he's won in June, and he's starting to win on the East Coast a little bit. So, it's
Ohio is not the East Coast, you dipshit.
okay. The Midwest.
There you go.
North of the South.
A non-South region.
A non-South region event.
I think the craziest thing about that win, though, is he did not make he made 1 putt outside of 10 feet all weekend. Like,
no,
he
none. Or 1. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, he made 1, and he legitimately putted like shit and still won one of the toughest PGA Tour events. I mean, he made triple on number 9 Saturday he had a 3-shot lead at that point, fell back to 8 under, and then just grinded it out all freaking day on Sunday. And the guy is, when you watch, there's really nothing that stands out. Like, it's just shot after shot. He controls his distance. The ball striking is always on point. Everything about what he does is just bland, but it's so money. Like, he just doesn't miss a shot. He plays boring golf. And so, I mean, kudos to him. He's a winning machine. He's going on a Tiger-esque year 2000 type of run. So just crazy to actually witness this. Like, we thought Jordan Spieth did that. We thought that Justin Thomas was going to do this. So Scotty now officially the next, is he Patrick Mahomes to, Tiger's Tom Brady? Is he the second coming? Like, this, it's crazy to witness.
Yeah, he's a couple little quick facts. Like you said, made 1 putt over 10 feet all weekend. There was a tweet about his shots from 120 to 140 yards. His last 5 approach shots, it was like 6 feet, 4 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet. I mean, the guy is a true machine, and he because it's tour averages, like Lou Stagner always showed us the tour averages. Hook him, Greg. We love him. I love him. I love me some Scotty. The tour averages are obviously different when you watch the best player in the world, but he blows all those out of the water and changes expectations for when you watch him hit a lot of golf shots on a Sunday, and then you go slap it around Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening or Monday or whatever. You're like, 120 yards. I should hit it to 6-8 feet. And it's just otherworldly what the guy's doing right now. The gap in official world golf ranking points between him and world number 3, Rory McIlroy, is the same gap that is between Rory and the 613th player in the world, Anthony Quayle. So that's how far he is just like lapping the field, full Max Verstappen style.
Have you seen the money list? I think he's got an over $12 million lead. He's doubled up Xander Schauffele. He's made $24 million this year, and Xander's made like 12.
$24 million this season. Xander's at 12 point. He's 12.4 ahead of Xander at 11.6. It's just an otherworldly stuff that he's doing.
This dude is getting NBA money on the PGA Tour, and he's gonna make $40-50 million by the end of the season. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah, he's been unreal. Something else that's unreal that we'll get to real quick before we get to our interview with Mark. So I want to shout out Linnea Strom. She won her first ever LPGA event this past weekend, the ShopRite LPGA Classic. She made like I said in the intro, made the cut on the number and shot 11 under 60 on Sunday. She was 7 shots back on Sunday, ended up winning the event, being 7 shots back. And she said afterwards, she's like, honestly, did not expect this waking up today. This is proof that you should never give up. Just go out there and give it your all. It's the lowest final round by a winner in LPGA Tour history, and the second lowest ever. Annika Sorenstam shot a 59 in 2001. So something that's not been done in 23 plus years, and she just dominated to win too. It's not like the Rory 61 where you're 50 shots back and barely making the cut on a Sunday, and then firing a 60 and feeling being like top 20, top 25. Another shout out to Carlos Ortiz. A lot of people don't know who that is, but he won Live Golf Houston this past weekend.
I really thought you were talking about the Corn Ferry Tour when you mentioned Carlos Ortiz. I forgot that he made the jump. I was like, oh, did he win on the Corn Ferry Tour? Because he was on the he made it out to the PGA Tour. He was one of the young promising stars probably 5-6 years ago. struggled out on tour, fell back into the Corn Ferry Tour, and now whose team is he on in Live? Do you remember?
He is the high fly or I don't know. I'm
Is he
looking at
the
the logo here.
Fireballs? Is he the Cleeks? No, he's definitely not the Cleeks, but one of those lame ass team names that we can't remember. But no, I mean, he's a good player. I don't even think he's in the U.S. Open, so, whatever.
No, but he did win. He won the Houston Open in 2020. So he owns Houston.
So he's
got
a
an LPGA. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the first ever player to win a PGA Tour event and a Live Tour event in the same city. So making history, Carlos Ortiz.
Well, Brooks has won a few times on the Live Tour. I wonder if it's been in the same spot as.
No, this is their first tournament in Houston ever.
Okay, well, yes, in Houston, but you're saying in the same city, PGA Tour or Live Tour.
Oh, yeah, I
in Houston, yes, Carlos Ortiz, I think, holds that prize.
I maybe need to be fact checked there. But what's new? What's new? All right, anything else you want to get to quick before we get to our ads and then send it over to the interview with Mark?
I don't think so, man. I'm really looking forward to the U.S. Open this week. I'm fired up. It's going to be. Can't believe we're already on our third major of the year, and it feels like golf season's just starting for everybody else in America. But here we are. We got to enjoy it while we got it.
Yep. Tune in live, Big Drive Energy, 10 a.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday. We'll give you our full U.S. Open preview at Pinehurst. Before we turn it over to Mark, I want to tell you guys about our great friends over at Shady Rays. I've had a few people text me, tweet us, ask what the code is. It is AC35. That will save you 35% off polarized sunglasses. They've got the new Green Wolf golf sunglasses. I keep them in my golf bag and only strictly wear them when I'm playing golf. Played golf on Saturday and wore my Green Wolves the whole round. It was another day of overcast. We didn't think we'd be able to make it. We thought we'd get some rain. It was a wild afternoon, but we played 18 holes in around 4 hours, 4:10, which was incredible because the rain scared everybody away. But the Green Wolf glasses, when it's a little overcast, changed the whole view of the golf course. And I was hitting some darts with my Green Wolf glasses on. Shady Rays is by far the best golf sunglass company I've ever used. I got rid of all my other sunglasses and just have the Shady Rays not only in the bag, but in my car, in my backpack, wherever. They're an independent sunglass company offering world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Ton of different colors, options, styles. And if they ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. Greggy was one of the guys that texted me. He got his Green Wolves this morning. Shout out to Shady Rays. We're getting people in their Shady Rays. Use that code AC35 for 35% off. Polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Also, our friends over at...
Wait, real quick. You told me you hit a few shanks this weekend. You must have not had the sunglasses on.
No, yeah, it was a terrifying moment. Back-to-back shankaroos off.
And no sunglasses.
No, at that moment they were off me. So
yeah, so you need to put them back on.
Once I put them back on, then it was just back to Dart City.
Way
to mention that. Thank you. We had that conversation in private, but now it's out there for everybody to hear. Yes, I absolutely hoselled. So real quick, I hoselled one. The guys that I was playing with were in the cart, kind of close to me. They asked if they were okay. I said yes. Then I shanked it, and they asked, "Are you sure we're okay?" They're like, "No, hit another one, whatever. That's our fault." They drive down to the green, and I shank another one onto the next tee box. So it was quite the treat. I did save bogey, which was awesome. I went over, chipped it just short of the green, and then chipped it in. So it was great to make bogey there. But it overall was a very scary moment. I also want to tell you guys about
Spencer can't help but go shot for shot.
No,
you're addicted to just telling everybody your rounds of golf. But
you brought up my 2 shanks, so I have to qualify them with what happened. There's got to be a story behind the shanks.
Do your last ad read, and then we'll get to this interview.
All right, Bet365. Use the code ALLCITY at sign up, and you get to choose between 2 offers: a first bet safety net of $1,000 or betting $5 and getting $150 in bonus bets. When you sign up with that code, we do all our golf betting. We'll have our hot U.S. Open picks. It was kind of a bad week for the boys. Victor Hovland, I don't know what happened to him. Shane Lowry shot 86 yesterday. And not that we had him on our card, but there was there were some really rough rounds out there this weekend. Victor Hovland in the middle of Saturday, I was playing golf, so I wasn't quite checking, but I knew he was a shot or two off the lead. I forgot to check. On hole 9, I look at the leaderboard, and I had to scroll like 4 screens before I even found him. So he absolutely dogged you-know-what at us. But my boy Matt Fitzpatrick, 3 under through 5, leading the whole tournament. I got really hyped on Thursday, made a mess out of 9, and ended up being like 1 or 2 over, kind of hanging around that area. Finishes at 2 under on the event and finishes in the top 5. So my unit bet returned 7 units on top of that. So I had basically an even week. Shout out to Matty Fitz for that top 5 finish. But Bet365 is by far the best way to bet golf. They have a bunch of boosts. I used my 50% boost this week on Patrick Cantlay, missing the cut. One of the worst players in the field other than Ricky Fowler.
Dude, he's playing like dog shit recently. It's not good for him.
Bro, I wanted to make a meme and I wasn't quick enough of the Ricky Fowler. He made birdie and it was like to get to 13 over, like Chris Paul nails a 3 to get the Suns within 42. That's what it was like for Ricky Fowler. Yep. But use Bet365 when you sign up, you get those 2 awesome offers. We use it every single week. You can bet the each ways on the golf. We've spanned it to 1 through 12. So you bet your unit, it doubles it for you, puts 1 on them to win and 1 on them to place in the top 12. So we're going to be doing that for the US Open. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern time for our full US Open preview at Pinehurst. We are going to turn it over to PGA Tour player Mark Hubbard. What a great interview. Enjoy. Awesome. Welcoming on to the Big Drive Energy podcast from Denver, Colorado, one of our guys, Mr. Mark Hubbard, 10-year PGA Tour vet and an absolute cut machine. Just loves playing golf on the weekend. 16 for 16 this year with a couple of top 10s. Mark, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. Congratulations on qualifying for the US Open coming up this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, so we'll kind of get into, let's just hop right into the US Open stuff. You played the sectional in Vancouver, correct?
No, it was just outside of Toronto, like right near Niagara.
Oh,
right
okay.
Falls, yeah.
I guess I just saw it was Canada. So, but that makes sense because the scoring was so early. Like Vancouver was the last one scored. But so did you get to pick your site and kind of give people an insight as to how that works? Like you were probably, I assume, exempt into the sectional because of world rankings and all that.
Yeah, correct. There's a category, I think it's top 500 in the world, get through the locals and straight into sectionals, and then you list your first 3 choices, so you kind of pick them in order. And obviously the PGA Tour guys and the higher ranked guys, automatically get their first choice most of the time, and then it kind of goes down from there in terms of your status. They do a couple of qualifiers, so the one I did in Canada was pretty close to where we had the RBC Canadian Open, and then they have a couple in Ohio for the guys playing in Memorial. So they do kind of do some sites kind of based on where the PGA Tour schedule goes. So those are the ones that usually have the most spots and the ones that we pick just for ease of travel. They also do a kind of an early one in Dallas, since that's a centrally located area where there's a lot of tour pros. They do that a couple weeks ago to kind of fit that in our schedule too, and they do that around either Byron or Colonial, which are in Texas. So they make it easy for us.
Very I was cool. Going to say that's probably pretty close to obviously where you played the RBC. And when you play in a 36-hole sectional like that, are you? Yeah, I mean, you went insanely low, anyways. But is it like you have to do that so you kind of step on the gas from the start, or do you just play the course as it is, you try to find birdies, and then kind of get going from there?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the course. I've played one before up in the DC area at Woodmont, and it's a pretty challenging course. I mean, usually it's somewhere between 6 or 7 under gets through there. I know I've had some buddies play one in New York that was really tough, where one under or even par will get in some years just based on the course. So it really depends. This one, is a really good golf course, but it was older and shorter, and you could tell based on the conditions that the scores were going to be pretty low. So yeah, it was definitely foot on the gas the whole way.
Well, so you said the putter got hot. How early? Like what point was it? The second or third? Somewhere on the front 9 where you're like, okay, I'm rolling it. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly, it's been a while coming. I actually had a putter switch about a month ago. I've been working really hard with my coach on some stuff with my stroke, and it just gotten to a point where the putter that I used to be using was kind of prohibiting me from making the changes. It was kind of, you know, make me fall back into some old bad tendencies. So I just said screw it and switched to this new putter. And I've been rolling it great, but necessarily hadn't seen the results, especially up in Canada at the RBC. I felt like I was hitting every putt right where I was looking and not even sniffing the hole. And I thought I was going crazy, like my eyes were messed up or whatever, but we just could not read the greens at all. And then we got to Cherry Hill for the qualifier, and it was, like I said, an old school course where every green's pretty much just kind of back to front. They actually had a thing there, how I don't know if you played in like Palm Springs, but they say everything breaks to Indio, and you'll go places where it's like, oh, everybody breaks to this valley. So they had one there where it was everything breaks to the southeast, but that's where Niagara Falls was. So it actually kind of made sense that, the water would sort of drain that way. And it was really true. And I just found those greens really easy to read. So it kind of, yeah, it was early in the round, but it almost felt like it had been like a month in the making. And it was just nice to finally see some putts actually go in because I knew I was rolling it well, but they just weren't falling yet.
Yeah, did you get a chance to like really look at that golf course before you played it, or was it just kind of like show up? It's close to where the RBC was, and you played again on the weekend at the RBC. So, and then you show up and you're like, oh well, here we go, 36 today at a place I've never really seen.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it is a lot of the times. That's why people will do the same qualifier, every year at the same place. It's just kind of get some course knowledge. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to see this one ahead of time. They did have yardage books, so that's obviously helpful. But yeah, there's something to be said for that. Sometimes with us, on tour, we can kind of overcomplicate things and read too much into strategy. And there's something to be said for just kind of pointing and shooting. And we didn't really know where to hit it, so you just kind of keep it in front of you and hit it where you can see it. And hit it to the middle of the green a lot on holes you're unsure of. And there's something to be said for that because obviously it worked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, if you're just hitting in the middle of the green a lot and then you're making putts, like there's no sense in aiming anywhere else but the middle. But would you say your caddy earns his pay a little bit more on days like that where, I mean, he hasn't seen the course either, but you're kind of really leaning on him because you've never seen it before. So you're like, you really probably got to agree on clubs and really feel comfortable over shots that you've never seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. We work well together, and he definitely played a big part in that. He did get to carry his small carry bag that day instead of the staff bag, so I knew he had a lot of extra energy to guide me around. But yeah, no, it was great. I mean, I felt like we did a good job game planning, and then he also knew that I was feeling it with the putter, so he kind of just got out of my way and let me roll it too. So it was the perfect combo.
That's awesome. So you have played in the U.S. Open before, back in 2020 at Winged Foot, and then this year, obviously, it's at Pinehurst. What do you think of the venue of Pinehurst, just as a U.S. Open venue compared to like a traditional one, like a Winged Foot?
Yeah, I haven't been before, so I'm super excited. Obviously, I've watched it on TV. The COVID year is when I played Winged Foot. I don't feel like I got the full U.S. Open experience. There was no fans, and I didn't go through the whole qualifying. So this one's a little more special because of that too. But it is, it's not maybe like an old school type of U.S. Open course, but it's definitely an iconic one. And I know how challenging it's going to be. I'm excited. I do feel like this is going to be the full test, the full experience with the fans and just the pars or birdies that week. And yeah, I'm excited for the challenge.
Well, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I don't know if you pay attention to the odds, but you're plus 25,000 to win this week. Maybe we throw a little bit of a sprinkle on Hubs to win the US Open. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it'd be pretty cool back-to-back years having a Colorado kid win.
Yeah, we would
That's
we would eat that up. We got eaten up by Wyndham in high school, but we would love back-to-back Colorado U.S. Opens. Speaking of betting, real quick, so obviously there was some we've had a Corn Ferry Tour player on our podcast, and he was one of the guys that got nabbed for Vince India for
Yeah.
the whole betting scandal. So obviously we know like you guys can't really do it, but I was reading an article in Golf Digest this past week, and I think it was the Undercover Caddy article where there's a caddy on tour that like writes this every week, and nobody knows who he is. And he was saying that with betting, like a lot of people are making more comments to players, and I just wanted to know if like that's the case with you, because I mean I've bet on you the last 2 weeks, and I'm not gonna out you and be like, hey, you need to make birdie here. But he said that players are like hearing a lot more of that from the fans. Have you noticed that since betting's become more legalized and more regulated?
Yeah, definitely. We go through like seminars, what to say and what not to say. And I don't think people are ever like out there like asking us for advice or, anything that could get us in trouble, but the comments are constant, just like, hey, I need you to make this putt. I have, $80 on FanDuel, and you like it's just nonstop with that. I mean, literally probably 5 times around minimum you hear something like that. So it definitely, the sports betting has taken over for sure.
Well, now you guys know how like fantasy football or like football players used to feel before sports gambling was legal, and everybody was always tweeting their
100%.
fantasy football roster, like talking shit about them, just like some insane people out on the internet. So hopefully you guys don't deal too much with that stuff. But we kind of want to start from the beginning. You grew up in Colorado. Give us, your experience playing junior golf in Colorado. A few things like that. What was your high school golf like? And just give us your favorite like course in high school in Colorado.
Yeah, so I grew up in Genesee, up in the mountains. And we were like the last house on the cul-de-sac, so we had a ton of just open forest acreage behind our house, and so that's actually kind of where I learned to play. Uh, we just had a mat there, and my mom had like a bucket of like 300 yellow, pink, orange golf balls, and I would just whack them into the forest and then go have like an Easter egg hunt, we used to call it. So that's literally like when I was, 3, 4, 5. That's kind of how I got into the game. And then we were members at Rolling Hills in Golden. So that's where I kind of got my first lessons and, played all the junior club championships and stuff there. As far as like, as I got older, the other stuff, I didn't really play as much kind of national tournaments. Like I did a few AJGAs here and there, but how it is today, like you're basically a professional. If you really want to achieve in your sport, like they have these kids basically acting like they're professional when they're 11, and that was not me. Like I liked to ski and I played basketball, till I was about 15. I thought I was going to go to the NBA. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen, but yeah, so I mean, I just like to play for fun, and I think that's helped me a lot. I never really had any burnout, and I felt like I still feel like when I'm on tour, when I'm out there, sometimes that like I learned how to be an athlete first and a golfer second, and I can just like my touch around the greens and just like natural athletic ability helps me. Whereas I see other guys who have only played golf their whole life and they'll get into some awkward lies and not really know how to handle it. So I really liked that about my upbringing, that my parents just kind of made me play all the sports and just made it fun for me and didn't put a lot of pressure on. But yeah, and then I would say probably about my junior year of high school, I kind of started realizing, yeah, like I'm pretty good at this. I might be able to have a future and at the very least get like a college scholarship. So I started playing a few more stuff, and the CJGA was amazing for me. They ran such great tournaments, and even though it wasn't nationally recognized, I felt like they are just as good as any junior tour out there. So they really helped me a lot, and I actually the one that kind of got me on the map was it's called the Optimus International. They have it at PGA National down in Florida. So I went to a basketball camp the week before and just sprained the absolute shit out of my ankle, and didn't think I was even going to be able to play. Uh, I had like a kind of semi-cast boot on the whole week, and it was a total like beware of the sick golfer thing. Just went down there, didn't give a shit at all, and backdoored the last day. Shot like one under in the even, and the leaders all collapsed. So I ended up winning. That was kind of what got me my scholarship, just because that was my first kind of national tournament that I had played. So yeah, so that was kind of where it started, and then went to San Jose State, and the rest is history.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, I actually so we're in very similar circumstances because we were playing it against high schoolers like Wyndham Clark, a lot of Valor kids, you know, and all those kids were playing in all the AJGAs and all that. And it's like you said, they're professional golfers, but you're not making any money. So your family's got to shell out, you know, $1,500 a weekend, if not more, for you to go play in those. We were not afforded that luxury. So we were not able to go play in that kind of stuff. But I actually qualified for the Optimist one year,
Nice.
and was not able to go play in it because it, you know, it was like $2,500 to get down there
Yeah.
between flight and hotel and all that. And I had just been selected to another thing down in Florida like the week after. And my mom was like, well, you can go play in this, you can go play in that, but you can't play in both. So I didn't end up going and playing in the Optimist, but I'm very familiar. I definitely wouldn't have won it, that's for sure. But that's a very cool story growing up, because we hit balls into our field growing up too, so we're basically, you know, along the same lines.
That's awesome.
Always worked at a golf course when we were younger, so yeah, it's very cool to hear a story about a guy that makes it on tour that's, you know, wasn't playing in 12 AJGA events every summer. You know, kind of a story similar to ours. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, all sports are so competitive nowadays. But at the end of the day, like, you gotta have a passion for it, and you gotta just keep it fun. I see so many kids nowadays where it's already a job, and it just makes me sad. In every sport, not just golf. So I know I got two daughters, and I know they're probably going to play sports, but I'm never going to, I'm always going to try and keep it fun for them. And if they happen to be really good at one, that's great. But, I'm definitely not going to push them like I see some of these parents doing.
Yeah, it sounds like we had like the same exact trajectory, and then we just plateaued, and you just kept going with your 10 plus year PGA Tour career. What was it like going to San Jose State? Were there some other offers after that? Did you have some choices of colleges, and why was that the choice?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at a few like D2 and D3 schools that I could play both golf and basketball, but obviously, like I said, I was not going to the NBA, so that was a pretty good decision not to do that. And then, honestly, most of the schools that I was looking at were really good academic schools. I got good grades. I don't know how, because I'm kind of an idiot, but I guess I was book smart. So I was looking at a lot of schools like back east that were, really good schools, but just so golf wise. And obviously, back east, it's not the most ideal weather for year-round golf if I really was going to try and make the PGA Tour. So San Jose, I had some connection. Gunnar Wiebe, is still playing, his dad Mark. I grew up playing with them, and Mark went to San Jose State, so he was kind of the one that got me interested. And just as far as offers went, that was probably the best golf school and definitely the best climate to go play. So it kind of worked out from that. It was, my mom was pushing me, to probably go to some better academic schools, but I say that was kind of my first grown up decision was, okay, I'm not going to go somewhere and play basketball D3, and I'm not going to go, somewhere and just try and just for school. Like, I know I want to play golf, so I'm going to go here and see what happens.
that's awesome, man. That's, you know, that when you have that kind of vision, you got to take a chance on it. You know, if you feel like you can make it in golf, which it's obviously paid dividends for you. So, you know, your mom can't knock that decision now.
No, for sure.
So your nickname is Homeless Hubs. It's your Twitter handle, all of that. Can you give us a little insight into your nickname? Because I read that it was when you were like playing up in the Canadian tour on the Canadian tour, and you were with billet families, and you kind of prided yourself on being able to like sleep wherever. So did that start at like San Jose State when you were out partying, you passing out on floors, or how did you get that nickname?
No, it was actually it was Wyndham's caddy right now, John Ellis. So I played a bunch of mini tour stuff with him up in Canada, but even before that, I was playing, I think it was like called the AGT or something like that, and it was just mini tour stuff in Arizona. And him and Brady Stockton, who caddies for Ches Ruby, another PGA Tour player, they had a little condo right by TPC Scottsdale. And so I basically just like crashed on their floor or couch for like 3 or 4 months. And I'm usually pretty shaggy appearance wise, and obviously wasn't paying them any rent. So they just started calling me homeless. And it just kind of stuck after that. So yeah, it was Ellis who came up with it.
Okay, I like it. That's a great nickname. I mean, the fact that it's stuck is money. So
Yeah, we had a guy actually for True Links, which is the clothing company that I wear. They hired this like tattoo artist to do my bag and some other stuff, but he actually made a logo for me, and it's a little homeless guy golfing. It's really awesome.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So how does that just like give some insight to everybody listening that's obviously not on the PGA Tour, including us? When you go through like a clothing sponsorship or stuff like that, like do you have some choices of those? Do those people reach out to you? Did you find them? And then what do you get to like try all the stuff on, figure out if you actually like it, or it's like, hey, they're paying me, so I'm just gonna wear this whether I like, whether it's comfortable or my kind of style or not.
Yeah, there isn't a ton of people getting paid for clothes. Obviously the big guys like Roy's obviously getting a check from Nike and stuff like that. But most of the clothing company, you just get free stuff. And yeah, it's both ways. You reach out to them, they reach out to you sometimes. I have an agent, and so how I got involved with them is so True Links is Ryan Moore's company and his brothers, and his older brother, who was his agent, is also my agent. So they kind of got me interested. They started off as just shoes, and I was kind of having some problems with my footwear, with just my connection to the ground and my balance and the way I was moving. And True Links is, they're all zero drop, so you're really, connected to the ground. They have a good toe box. So I actually switched more for a performance-based reason to their shoes, just to try and help me with my ground force and just my connection. And then they started making clothes, and their clothes are super good. So it was just kind of an easy transition. But yeah, it was just all through my agents.
Yeah, so
Hell
is
yeah.
that
I mean,
MGM sponsorship through the agents as well? Is there some perks on that? You get some free rooms, maybe some casino
Yeah.
time. I don't know if you're a big casino guy, but
Yeah, I love Vegas. I love the casinos. I'm not a huge gambler, mostly just because I'm very bad at it. But
join the club.
it does,
yeah, I was
yeah, it
gonna say
doesn't,
everybody is. People just don't
yeah.
realize it.
Yeah, exactly. I just figure I shouldn't have all the vices, so that's one I try and stay away from. But yeah, no, MGM's great. They're one of my best partners, and they hook it up with a ton of credit. So it's always fun the weeks we're in Vegas. A lot of good, even if you're not gambling, there's a lot of good food and great rooms and stuff, and they're an awesome sponsor. And I mean, the biggest perk is getting to play Shadow Creek out there. It's definitely in my top five favorite courses. So it's always an awesome day out there with them.
You're probably like, I don't know how I lost money being sponsored by these guys, but I
Yeah,
seem to be in my own pocket here at the MGM.
yeah, that's how they get you. They give you the credit, and you go there and get every your room and stuff comp, but then you lose twice as much on the tables. So
Right. Well, so you live in Texas now. So you made the jump from Colorado to Texas. You lived in California for school. How'd you land on Texas? Like, other than the fact that there's no income tax, that obviously helps. But what else like drew you to Texas?
yeah, I was used to be working with a coach here when I first moved, so that was why I chose the Woodlands proper. But I mean, everybody, sort of eventually moves for the most part to Texas, Florida, or Nevada for that state income reason. So we basically get taxed on each individual tournament by the state that we play in, and then we get taxed on our overall income in the state that we live in. So it can get pricey, especially if, I played 33 events last calendar year, so I'm only home, what's that, 29 weeks. So less than half the year. So to be paying to live somewhere doesn't make a lot of sense. And then I think Texas, for me, why I chose that over Florida or Nevada, I really, obviously it's centrally located, so it's easy to travel from, but I think the golf travels really well here. Like we see a ton of different types of grasses, a ton of different types of weather conditions. We see a lot of wind, a lot of grain. So I really think the golf here is really great prep for anywhere we're going in the country. So I feel like it's a great home base.
Yeah, Texas seems like the spot where a lot of kids are growing up, and it's just like a factory for kids, and we've talked about that where it's like kids are just doing strictly golf, but Texas seems like the spot that's the most. It's not, Florida's great, but it's not. Texas just seems like the golf kind of the hub of like PGA moved down there to Frisco now too, so it seems like that spot is growing and it's only going to get bigger in terms of the golf world.
Yeah, 100%. There's a ton of pros here in Houston and up in Dallas, a few in Austin. But yeah, I mean, I really do think that's true. Like, the I play at this little 9-hole course, great membership. All the AMs are super good there. Like if I go out and shoot 68, I'll lose my ass. Like I got to take it deep. They're all good, but I mean, it's a little dinky 9-hole course that actually is in amazing shape. But like, it's everywhere I play in the world, it's the toughest place I've ever played to chip on. Like it's so tight, it's so grainy, it's whatever. So there's just lots of little gems like that around Texas where it's like I play 33 events a year on the PGA Tour, and this little 9-hole course is the hardest place to chip on. Like, it's just great. It's great prep, and I just think it's underrated.
How much did the Dallas Stars fans suck? Because we ran into a few at this DraftKings at TPC Scottsdale. We were there watching the Avs Stars, and Spencer almost got into a fight with one of the Stars fans. There's obviously a little liquor involved, but they seem, at least from a Denver perspective, they seem a little bit obnoxious. So have you seen any of that with Stars fans like being in that area?
Yeah, well, I'll say two things. One, totally my fault. I went to game two, which we lost. I have a horrible, horrible track record now with attending Colorado sporting teams events on the road. I've been traveling to a few, and I need to stop. I was at the Broncos 50-point loss to Miami last year. I was at game two, which we lost in Dallas. So that one's on me, boys. I'm sorry. But secondly, yes, uh, Texans in general have a ton of pride for their state as well as all of their teams. But I will say that having been here, there's a little Houston and Dallas rivalry, so maybe that's where some of it's coming from. But I do find Dallas fans in general for all of their sports teams as one of the most annoying fan bases. Um, but and yeah, I don't know if that's a Cowboys thing specifically or the fact that we just lost to the Stars, so I'm a little bitter. But yeah, that's how I feel.
We go on a trip every year, just the two of us, to a different NFL city, and we've been doing it since we were 18 and 19. Actually, the first year we went to Kansas City, we couldn't even check ourselves into our own hotel. We had to ask some random person at a hotel in Kansas City to check us in because we
It's
weren't old
awesome.
enough. But we went down to Dallas, want to say like 3 or 4 years ago. The Broncos were horrible that year, and Dallas was great. I think we were like 12-point dogs or something, and we absolutely slaughtered them. And it was the most
I
fun I've
remember that
had.
game.
Yeah, we were just had our jerseys on, just absolutely lighting off our mouths to everyone. We got these sweet club seats from one of the members at our golf course. She was a Cowboys fan, and they were like 50-yard line, 20 rows up. It was an unbelievable experience, and then the Broncos just absolutely destroying them made it 10 times better.
Yeah, that sounds like a better experience than we had in Miami. We got to go on the field pregame, so that was pretty cool. And then after that, it was all downhill. We got absolutely crushed. I think all of us got COVID that weekend. Like it was just everything that could go wrong went wrong after halftime.
Hey, at least you were able to be a part of history. You got to watch history.
Yeah,
Well,
it's true.
it was like one touchdown from history, but it is very odd. We'll get into a little bit more Broncos stuff later, though. We'll because we've got some questions there for sure.
So
All right.
we kind of heard about your putter scenario. So you just switched. You play some ping woods and then Titleist irons and wedges. Is that just something that you've? Because I mean, I'm obviously a different universe level of golfer from you, but I still have an Adams Idea hybrid that I've had since high school that has like the graphite design shaft in it, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of it until I'm like too old to like swing an X shaft. But do you have some clubs in your bag that you've had for a while, or are you just comfortable with those, or how's the bag setting up?
Yeah. I kind of have a mix of a bunch of stuff. My putter that I was using was the oldest club in my bag. I had been using it since 2015, so almost 10 years. Um, and it was just
It
like
was that
kind of
Odyssey heel shafted one, right?
yeah, a lot of toe hang. So I had a ton of arc in my stroke, and that's a little bit of what we were trying to get rid of to just kind of make me a little more consistent. So I was very sad to say goodbye to old Trusty, but I got the Spider in now, and it's obviously been great for the last month. So I'm excited for the future with that. But the rest of the stuff, yeah, you nailed it. kind of a mix of the bag. I used to be all Titleist, but I dropped my club contract about 2 years ago now, which I think is kind of becoming a trend on tour. There's just not as much money in the club contracts as there used to be, unless you're obviously one of the top guys. And so with all the changes that have happened with live and stuff, with the purses being so high, it doesn't make as much sense to be locked into just one thing. You can make a lot more money on the course than with your club contract. So a lot of guys have just kind of gone to more of an open bag, and it really has been nice just to get to try everything that comes out, try everything new, and just see what is the best for me, what I'm going to play the best with. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, because obviously we've seen a lot of players go away from, being sponsored by a single brand. How many dudes do you really think there are out on tour that like legitimately don't love every club in their bag, but are just playing their clubs because that's who sponsors them? Or do you think that at this point, dudes, like you said, are just going completely away from the club contract because they see results with other clubs?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys out there who are probably in a club contract that they're overall very happy. And really all of the club manufacturers are great, but I'm sure all of those guys have one or two clubs in their bag that they can't quite figure out, and it's frustrating. And so yeah, I think a lot of guys are making that move, and it's mostly just the manufacturers. The club contracts are, in my point of view, a little outdated, and they're a little strict with the amount of clubs they make you play. So I do think as more guys start to do what I've done and go to more of an open bag, that maybe the club companies will start to adjust. And, because back in the day they used to do, okay, we'll just do a driver deal, or we'll just do a irons. And now most of them, you're not really going to get a contract that's worth anything unless you're doing at least 10 or 11 clubs plus driver. So that's pretty strict to only have two or three clubs of leeway when there's so much competition out there. So yeah, I think there'll be a lot of change coming with that.
What kind of ball are you playing now?
So I play this ball called the Titleist Pro V1 Left Dot. Essentially, what Titleist does, if enough guys continue to play a past model of a ball, they kind of just make it a new ball. So you'll hear stuff like the uh, Pro V1X Dash, or I think there's probably like 14 or 15 different balls out there now, but my ball is essentially the 2013 Pro V1, and enough guys just kept playing it that they just made it a new ball. So my ball, it's basically the lowest launch, lowest spin ball that they have, and I love it around the greens. It's still really soft around the greens, but it's by far the best ball I've ever played in the wind. And so for me, I don't have a ton of tough time spinning the ball. If anything, I can get a little too spinny sometimes. So it's just the perfect ball for me.
Dude, so I have heard about that, where I remember it was maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. I think Nick Watney was still playing like the 2007 Pro V1. Those ones that you probably remember like in high school or whatever, that you'd wear off the cover in 9 holes. Like you could just
Yeah.
basically wipe the cover off, but they performed like crazy. And I remember hearing that and being like, how does that work? So if enough guys want to play a certain ball, the manufacturer will just like reintroduce that ball.
Yeah. Basically, if enough guys just don't switch, then they just kind of rebrand it as a new ball. So there's probably like 7 or 8 different types of Pro V1s being played out there, and probably equal amount Pro V1Xs. So, like Pro V1s, I don't know all the names. Mine's the left dot, which is essentially the 2013. But I know that there's the 17 and the 19 and the 21 are all still being played out there. And
Yeah,
then,
I
there's
just
like
switched
left
to the
dash and
I just switched to the left dash, and so I don't know exactly what that is. It feels it performs well
so
for my level of
yeah.
game.
So that's their low spin high launch ball. So that is I would recommend that to a lot of people. I think most AMs should probably be in the X ball, not the Pro V1, just because the X launches a little higher, which in my opinion for most AMs with less club head speed than the majority of guys on tour have. Getting a little more height and just getting it up in the air a little easier is the best. So like my family always struggles because my ball is so low launch and so low spin that they always I have extra balls. I'm like, do you want any? But then I'm giving them to like my dad, who's he's getting older and doesn't have quite the same club head speed, and he can't get my ball off the ground. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. You might just, I'll buy you some for Christmas, but you might just have to splurge on some X's because this ball's not good for you.
That's a perfect way for nobody to ask you for your golf balls, is just play a golf
Yeah.
nobody else can hit. Well,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
didn't Titleist a few years ago, they threw everybody off because they flip-flopped the Pro V1 and the X. Because the X used to be like the lower, like the lower spinning, lower launch, and then didn't they change that?
Yeah, just over time with their stuff, they crisscrossed. I'm not really sure what the logic behind that was, and I don't even know if they did it on purpose. I think it was just kind of how the technology evolved. But yeah, so now the X usually spins a little more than the V. Obviously, the V still, it's got a softer shell or casing, so it spins more around the greens. But with full swing, the X spins more.
Talk about a hell of a marketing plan. You just flip-flop, you just put a different name on a product and flip-flop two items, and then you just
Yeah.
resell them. That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, Titleist knows what they're doing, both in terms of their marketing and being as successful as a company as they are. But obviously, it's not for nothing. They have the best ball in the world, no question.
That
Yeah,
that is a fact.
that's why you see that Titleist logo next to like every player on the PGA Tour leaderboard, no matter what
Yeah,
clubs or anything else they're playing. It's insane.
yeah, it's fun. So we play that Zurich Classic every year. And the team event, and that's like always one of the biggest things is which ball everybody's going to play, and it is fun getting to try other people's balls who don't play Titleist, and there's a few out there that I definitely like and I feel like I could play, but the week after is always like so sweet to get to come back to my ball and just be like, okay, this is the one.
Yeah, you played with Ryan Brem, right? And you guys were like either in a playoff or pretty close to a playoff, correct?
Yeah, we missed a playoff by one, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a super fun week.
So with the Zurich, like how walk us through the process of like how you pick partners. Like, is it like getting a homecoming date? Like, is there somebody left out in the cold that's like, got to go find somebody on the street? All relatively speaking, but how does that process work? Like, you ask a buddy and he's like, "Oh, I'm already playing with him," and then you ask somebody else, and like, how hard is it to find a partner?
Yeah, I mean, me and Ryan have played a couple years. He's one of my best friends out there, so we just kind of have a long-standing agreement that if we're both on tour, we're going to be playing together. Our wives are best friends, and we just have an awesome week. And I feel like our games really complement each other. But there's lots of different strategies. Some guys like playing with someone who plays the same ball as them and plays the same sort of game. Some guys like me, I like playing with someone who plays kind of a different game than me. Like he's a bomber. So I feel like we can take advantage of some of the longer holes that I normally wouldn't be able to. So I kind of like that contrast. But yeah, in terms of finding a partner, there's a lot you can just ask. There's a lot of guys who just kind of pair up based on their agencies. Their agents will just kind of get them together or reach out to people and say, I think you'd be a good fit. And then to your point, there are, I won't mention any names, but yeah, there are a few guys that get left out and, end up like cold calling people and trying to find a partner. Or I even had one of my buddies, his partner kind of switched up on him last minute, took like a better partner. So he was kind of out in the weeds as an alternate trying to fill in, find a fill in for the week. So yeah, it is kind of a funny, like you said, homecoming type of deal.
Yeah, dude, I'd be pissed if I got left high and dry. Like, and that's the thing is that, like you said, you and Ryan like agreed that you'll always, as long as you're both on tour. But like, if one of you wins a major, and then all of a sudden, like Rory's like, "Hey, let's partner up for the Zurich." Do you guys have an out? Like, is there any asterisks in your teammate situation?
Are you asking me and my partner if we have a hall pass list? Is that what this is?
Exactly. If somebody else asks you, and you're like, I can't say no to this guy.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it, but we probably should. I mean, if Tiger called Brem up, I wouldn't be sad if he left me.
Well,
I'd understand.
100%. You just got to let him go there. Well, so you said he's one of your best buddies on tour. Who are your other like best friends, and do you travel with really anybody? I mean, obviously the schedule's tough. Who's playing in what events, but who are your like best buddies out there, and who do you like seeing week in, week out?
Yeah, so Ryan and his wife, we stay together a decent amount. There's definitely, it's kind of cliquey out there, and people have their people that they travel with and stay in Airbnbs with. So it's the Brams, and then we stay with the Damons a lot. Joel and his wife Lana are super close, especially they have a young kid now too, who's about the same age as our youngest. So it's nice to stay with them sometimes. Harry Higgs and me have the same coach, so we've gotten closer over the last couple of years. So that's kind of my crew. And yeah, I mean, you don't travel together. You're all, we live in different places, and you're on different flights, but you do try and split some Airbnbs just to make it feel less lonely out there. And you play practice rounds together, and yeah, you get your little group, and it seems less like a lonely mission by yourself out there. It sucks, when you're by yourself just staying in a hotel room every week. So forming that little community out there is really important, and especially now that we have kids. Our kids go to tour school together, and they're going to end up growing up together, and it'll be really fun watching them. So
Very
That's
cool, man.
awesome. So are there a few guys on tour? You don't have to say the names clearly, but like you see you're paired up with them, you're like, oh fuck, this is not going to be fun. How many guys are there like that? 10, 20?
No, I would definitely say less than 20, probably less than 10, to be honest. There's definitely a few. It's probably, different for everybody who those few are. There's probably a couple crossovers for sure, but I think you'd actually be surprised how few D-bags there are out there. For the most part, everybody gets along. I think it goes back to that same thing. Like, it's so lonely that it's just kind of like to try and to be a D-bag and isolate yourself even more. It's just like it's a hard life. Like, it's a great life. It's super fun, but it does become a little bit of a community out there, a little bit of a family out there, because as much as we're all trying to beat each other every week, like, it's the people we see every single day for our whole year. So nobody really wants to make it miserable and be that guy. So for the most part, everybody's been really great out there.
That's awesome. Well, I got one last thing for you, and then we'll let you get out of here. So I saw your recent tweet, quote, one of the most frustrating things is typing in knuckles or pounded to try to get the knuckles, only to remember AI is still catching up, or worse, a sneaky little robot freak. And I related to that because I type what I want to say for an emoji too, and sometimes I'll send it. I'll be like, have a good day, smile, and I send that, and I'm like, oh, you look like such an asshole. By the way, that
Yeah.
emoji is fist. So
Yeah, I
you type in
know.
fist,
Well,
you
that's
got
why
it.
I was saying. That's why that's AI's a little freak. He's trying to. Anyway, but yeah, the edit button on the text has been clutch, because I do that too. Like, sometimes you'll type something and it won't come up with the emoji, and you just send the word, or even worse, it'll come up with the emoji and the word. So you say smile, and then you have the smile, and you're just like, come on, like, what are
Yeah.
we can, yeah.
So I got one last question. Rank your Denver fandom in regards to Broncos, Nuggets, Avs, Rockies. What order? If one team had to win a championship, who would it be?
It's Broncos. I love all of my Colorado teams, but I absolutely bleed orange and blue. So, yeah, it's you know, I think probably number two would probably be the Avs, just because I overall think I like the NHL a lot more than the NBA. I love the Nuggets. I love Joker and Murray and all our guys, but I find the NBA as a whole tough to watch these days. Whereas I love hockey. I love playoff hockey. So I think the Avs would probably be two, and Nuggets three, and then our poor Rockies will probably never be good because we can't get any pitching because nobody wants to go get lit up at Coors Field. So that'll probably be the order. But yeah, I mean, the Broncos would be up here, and then the Avs down here, and everybody close. Like, it's not really even close. I love the Broncos.
If you get rich enough, can you just buy the Rockies so the Monforts don't have to own them anymore, and then you can change the whole organization?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the answer is. Do we have to wreck Coors Field and make the walls a little deeper? I mean, that's the tough part is it's one of the best ballparks in America. So it's like you don't want to change it, but at the same time, we're never going to get an ace to come out and pitch for us. So if you don't have pitching, you're not going to win.
100%.
Yeah. Well, Mark, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the time. Good luck this week at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. We'll be watching every shot and hope you come home with like top 10 or a win, win the U.S. Open, back-to-back Colorado kids. We'd love to see that. We appreciate your time and you taking the time to talk to us today.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me. Great to meet you guys.
We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you.
No worries.